It's so very fascinating to try to comprehend how much God actually knows us. And when you ask somebody, a Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ, what does God know about you? They should say that God knows everything about you. But what does that mean? We know Psalm 139, especially verses 1 through 6, that God knows everything that we think and that we do. He knows our thoughts. And then verses 7 through 13, he also knows everywhere where we are because he's with us. And he was also with us the remaining part of the chapter when we were being made in our mother's womb. He was a part of that process. And so David expressed in verse 14, I praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. God does truly know everything about you. Jesus even said, Matthew 10:30, that he even has numbered the hairs on your head. Now, for me, that's not too difficult, but for others, maybe a little bit more difficult. But just showing that the intricacy of how much God knows you and cares even about the number of hairs on your head, how much more the important things in our life. Now, in one way, we should be excited that God knows us so very well. But also, in another way, that should put some intrepidation in us. As Hebrews 4:13 says, and no creature is hidden from his sight, but all are naked, are exposed to the eyes of him to whom we must give an account. Now, for the unbeliever, that is very, very dreadful. But even for us as believers, we know that one day we're going to stand before Christ and some rewards are going to be withheld because he sees and knows everything about us. As Jeremiah 17:10 says, I, the Lord, search the heart and test the mind to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds, both for the believer and the unbeliever. Of course, for the unbeliever, they're going to be judged by their sins, but God sees everybody's actions. But on the other side, too, we know how much God knows us, but we will be known more intimately, and I will know God more intimately as I am acting in obedience to his word. Jesus even said, if you love me, you will obey me. It shows not only our love, it expresses that love and helps me to draw closer to God. As 1 Corinthians 8:3 says, but if anyone loves God, he is known by God. And we also know that our good works, our spiritual gifts, God had planned those out way in advance, beforehand, that we should walk in them, Ephesians 2:10. He also said this to Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. Jesus said too in John 10, verses 14 through 15, I am the good shepherd, and I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, I lay down my life for the sheep. Also expressed in John chapter 14. I love John chapter 14. These verses have been on my mind for years and years and years and years. Where it says, if anyone loves me, he will keep my word, and my Father will love him. And we, talking about Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit, will come to him and make our home with him. Even though he dwells within us, he will know us in an even deeper, more intimate fashion, and we will know him even more. But whoever does not love me does not keep my words, and the word that you hear is not mine, but the Father's who sent me. So with the remembers, God told Samuel, when he was looking for the next king, the Lord said to Samuel, do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearances, but we have to remember how God knows us. But the Lord looks on the heart. That's not only where he looks, but that is where we know him in a deeper fashion. Thank you for joining me.